Hello and welcome to the Anto Podcast Show. I am Alia, who will be your host for tonight's episode, the Eerie Talk. So for today's episode, we will hear a paranormal experience that my friend have experienced before. As for me, I have never been into experience a paranormal experience in my life, but of course, I have experienced all of those chilly, creepy feeling before. There are my friends, and there are Tasha, Mardia, Sohaiba, and Kyrie. We don't want to wait any longer, so let us jump to the first story from Tasha.
A noise could disturb the library at the night. My school library is open until around 2 in the morning. It's a pretty small building and most of the books are in the basement area called the stud. I was there around 11 p.m. last year. It was a pretty rigorous intensive essay. So I was down in the stud working in one of the study desks. So I do not have to keep going upstairs and downstairs again. I had been there for maybe 2 hours, and everyone except for a boy working a few desks down from me had left already. I was pretty zoned out by this point. It was an 8 a.m. class, so I do not have much time until it was due, and I was sort of panicking, so it really pisses me off when I heard someone flipping throughout book pages really fast to make them do that loud weird noise at the other end of the room. I sort of ignored it for a while, thinking they do go away actually, but they just keep going it. After about 5 minutes, I got sick of it and started to walk over to tell them to knock it off. I get about 3 steps across the room and it just stopped. I sat back down and it was quiet again for like 10 more minutes before the creeping page noise started again, only loads louder like they do grabbed a book that time. The boy started to get pissed off too, and he stood up and started walking through the full shelf trying to find them. It keeps going, so I got up too and started to look around with him. It got really loud and it was pretty obvious where it was coming from by that point, so we started to walk toward it. He was on one side of the shelf and I was on the other. We walked all the way down the shelf. No one there. We had not seen anyone come in the store, and we were on the side of the room with the entrance. No way could anyone have come in without us seeing them. The noise stopped again, and we both just sort of slowly walked back to our seat. I assumed it was just a fan or something in the other room, and I really needed to get my essay done. I sat down, and immediately the noise started again. It sounded like it was coming from right next to the guy's chair. He shoved his stuff in the bag, looked at me, and said, "Took off." I was out of there, maybe 5 seconds behind him. I still won't go back in the stock at night, even when there's other people down there.
The next story is from Mardia.
The experience of living in a hostel provides a variety of precious memories, including the strange and mystical stories that often associate with hostel. That's also what happened to me. This incident is still able to make my hair stand on, and each time I reminisce about it. The mysterious incident in the dormitory. Horror story began to envelop me when I switched to a school in a rural area of Kedah. When I remember the horror story befalling me started when roommate asked me to move the bed even though the hostel warden had said me to use the bed at the bottom. Refusing to object to the instruction given, I proceeded to move the item to the upper bed and managed to ask why I could not use the bed. In my head at the time, there were all sorts of questions, but because I did want to question my roommate, I just followed. I had goosebumps when one of the dorm occupants, which is Farah, she told me that the bed was making a noise and there was a bell tied to the bedpost. She added that the hostel warden who rang the bell with the excuse to tell when they should go to bed. I was even more horrified when Shafika handed me the book of Surah Yasin and asked me to read whatever surah I memorize and understand its meaning. At that time, it was 12:40 midnight, but the bell still has ringing and my question about the bell were not answered by my friend. Instead, Farah closed all the windows in our room except the one on my bed which was left open, but the bell tied to my bed still has rung. Strange with the situation, Farah asked me if I was carrying any heavy item as I could take care and protect it. I don't think I brought anything except an old needle given by my late mother that I keep in my bag. Farah started to feel something was wrong. While we were making assumption about the needle, suddenly the bell rang loudly and Farah asked me to close my eyes if I saw any glimpse. We all keep laying down. Suddenly, I feel like something was staring at us. When I saw the end of the corner of the dome, there was a large black figure. I swear, I was 3 feet. In the morning, everything went as usual as if nothing happened. I thought to Farah the thing I saw yesterday and was surprised by the answer given by her. Farah tells the thing that I see is what the warden released to keep an eye on the student in the dormitory. This is because it had never happened before that the creature showed up. But what happened that night was a bit strange when it looked like it is searching for something. Shafika said the attempt to drive away the thing was never successful because there would be obstacles. Creepy, it's like knowing our intention to drive him away. Maybe this is where he come from. Not wanting to wait long, I immediately called my father and I told him all the incident and the father promised to come to school with friends to solve the problem. But before my father could come, the warden called me and asked me to move out of the dormitory or change school and gave no reason why I should do so. To this day, I still wonder why he feel like I seem to be an obstacle in the hostel. Although the event has been going on for a long time, it still vividly emblazoned in my mind.
So the next story will be from Sahiba.
I give the title for my horror story is The Study Room. It happened when I was 16 years old at my secondary school. The final examination was around the corner, plus there is still many subjects I must cover before the examination weeks begin. So in the study week, I decided to stay up late night. At first, I thought to study at my room, but I can't focus because of the noisy from the next room. So because of that, I went to the study room around 11 p.m. in the first floor, which is it a nice place to study because there is no one in there. Around that time, nothing happened, so I just keep on study and study and study until 12 a.m. I feel a bit unpleasant feeling like spooky creepy things and the air become really heavy. Suddenly I heard something whisper in my right ear saying, "Are you alone?" I heard that whisper but I just ignored it to calm myself. Later on I heard the door open by someone and footsteps entered the room without trace of anyone from the back door. I was really shocked and panicked. My heart beat so fast. I quickly went to my room. After that day, I never studied at that place late night, never again.
And the last story is from Kyrie.
One day, I and some of my friends went to hiking on Brogal Hills at 4 in the morning. We left by car and we arrived half an hour from the time we were moving. Upon arrival, we took some breakfast and did some light exercise before starting the hiking activity. Next, we started the journey and we also carried a small torchlight along our journey. And while we were enjoying such a wonderful trip, we found out that one of our friends seemed to have a problem. So we decided to take a break before continuing the trip. Shortly after continuing the journey, our friend who had once again had a problem seemed to be possessed. We were in a state of fear and had to stay away temporarily from him. Then he fainted for almost 2 hours and an ambulance came to take him to the hospital for further treatment. And since then, we are still traumatized about the incident and maybe it will be the last time for us to hiking the hill and we will take a lesson on what happened. Thank you.
So that's all for today's episode. I hope you enjoy the stories, and I hope the stories terrified you to sleep well this night. And a very big shout and love to our podcast audience and listeners. Goodbye.